Why you are putting in the chat? Better you speak out. Good afternoon. I was wondering whether you all are not able to hear me. So, in my last, you all can hear me, no? See my PPT also?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So last class I was just explaining about the overall picture of marketing management, what that we are going to learn and why it is important. Those sort of things have been already told to you. So in that respect, today we are moving into the first one, that is to be giving about the introduction regarding of marketing as well as the marketing management, which is the very core of our particular studies. So here we are most of the time, like if you look into Kotler's book, mostly that is the book that we refer for marketing management. So there, it was just an introduction, but lately, like after 17th, 18th edition, uh, he as well as the Armstrong, another editor or another co-writer of the particular book, was concentrating on creating customer value and engagement. Now, why we wanted a marketing or why that particular function is very important for an organization is actually creation of customer value. Now, the customer value, this is the concept that I was early also explaining. Why we wanted a pen, why we wanted a phone, why that we wanted a laptop, right? So these products or maybe services like education service or maybe legal services or training, whatever, right? So services or it can be product, but why this is wanted is because that by using about these products or by using about the services, the customers create value, or for them the value is being created. This is good for you, or this is very beneficial, or this is of course will help you to stand in different status, right? So many aspects can be provided when these products are being processed or when it is being bought by the consumers, right? So in that juncture, nowadays the writers of the marketing or the marketing management says that we have to create about the customer value. Creating the customer value is the very focal. Though that we earlier was emphasizing on the fact that customer satisfaction is very important. Apart from customer satisfaction, that is of course an old concept which have been throughout many years have been applied. But nowadays we are talking about the customer value creation or customer value, right? So value, of course, is considered to be in the consumer side. How much of benefit or how much of what do you call? I mean, good thing that we can get compared to the expenses that we are going to have of acquiring the particular product or service, how much that we have to give. Now, say for an instance, if you are going to purchase a pen, by having about the pen, what is the benefit that we may be having? We may be able to communicate clearly, and also that we can use that for many aspects, right? So so if that particular function can be provided, that is communicating function can be provided by purchasing about the pen, that is of course some benefit the consumers are getting. So for that, how much of expenses that they are going to have? So compared to the benefit as well as or what is the benefit that I am going to get by purchasing the particular product, and how much of expenses that I am going to incur of getting that particular product, the differences between that can be said to be value. This is the normal tabulation or the normal calculation many of us will be thinking about, right? So that is of course the value that we are going to give to the consumers. That is of course, the particular aspect, the consumers will be judging how much of value each of these marketers are giving, because now you can see that there are endless people. I mean, there are numerous marketers who can give the products and services which that we are requiring about. So consumers judge on people who to be the effective marketer is on how much of value that they are creating for us. Now say if you have about two types of pen, one type of pen is better than the other type of pen based on some aspects, right? So maybe about the color, or maybe about the price, or maybe about how much of writing it can do, or maybe the size of it, shape of it, or many things, right? As the benefits the consumers will be looking into. So, if a marketer can give about more value uh, for the consumers, then of course that particular marketers will be recognized by the consumers. So, if the consumers are recognizing the marketers who are giving about the value for the consumers or customers, then of course the marketers has to consider about the customer value. So in that juncture, we are actually relating all of our subjects, or rather than subjects, the sections that is coming under this particular marketing management relevant to creating of the customer value. And not only that, they have to be engaged with. So engaged in the sense they have to be continuously purchasing from the particular marketer. So not only once and then, or maybe then and they are purchasing about the product, they have to be a regular people who are purchasing the product and services from the particular marketer. So therefore that we have to make them to get engaged with ourselves. So always, so mostly that we can have the engagement by having about the good satisfaction, as well as giving about the good prices and creating about a good customer relationship. Many things will be focused over this particular area. So overall, what we are looking at a consumer's point of view as a marketer is to have about the customer value as well as engagement. So this is the main base that we will be speaking, or we will be considering all our sections that are coming under. Now, regarding of this, what is our objective, right? So for each of the section, we may have objectives that we have to attain by learning about the particular section. So here, actually regarding of this introduction, or maybe having about the insights into the customer value as well as the engagement, is to define about the marketing, right? So what is actually marketing is about, and of course what sort of steps that is involved into this marketing process, because we know marketing is not a single activity, it is of course a process. There are many aspects that we have to consider. As I have already told you, when it comes to the creation of marketing strategy, we have to look into the markets, and we have to look into the potential markets, and not only that, we have to select about the targets. And of course, when you have the selected markets or target markets, then of course that we have to position our product there, and we have to really fight with our competitors, and we have to win the minds of the consumers, right? So it is marketing, of course, that we cannot confine into a single activity. It is of course a process. So therefore that we in defining about the marketing, we also come to know about what is the steps that is involved in the process of marketing, right? And then there can be another thing that we have to know about, to understand about, or even to explain about the importance of the marketplace, right? So nowadays, of course, we cannot actually define about a market as a physical place, right? Very often that we purchase the products and services through the online mode. There is a virtual mode nowadays in operation. So not that only the virtual markets is there, even there are physical markets also. The traditional marketing process is also there. So there is parallel a market availability. So there is virtual markets as well, and or we can call it as a space market, right? And also physical market. So we have to know about really the marketplaces, right? And also we have to learn about some market concepts. Rather than market concepts, we can call it about some elements, right? So these elements is really what that we have to really understand about, right? So that is also another objective that we have. And plus to that, how that the marketing strategy, that is what we call it as customer driven marketing strategy, that we can create about. So what would be the supporting elements that is wanted also have to be understood. And not only that, we have to know about the marketing management orientation. So what sort of orientation? Marketing, of course, is not in a what you call in an earlier form. Earlier form, it has been different, but nowadays when you are talking about the marketing management, that orientation is different, right? So earlier we didn't talk about the society, or we didn't consider about the environment, or we may not even thought about the relationship, right, with the consumers. But of course nowadays many of the things that we are considering even the employees to be our internal consumers, or they are called as internal customers, right? So employees we are considering about, we are also knowing about the society, and for social aspects, that what sort of things that we have to provide with, and what sort of operations that we have to have about many things nowadays that we have to speak on, right? So then it is up to us to understand what is meant by these marketing management orientation. So orientation have to be known. And well to that, even the very important aspect that we look into is the customer relationship, right? So we really not only try to attract customers, or not only try to bring about more into the purchase of the products and services, but also we have to retain them, right? So retaining the consumers is very essential than attracting the particular people. So there may be many people purchasing about, but how long that we can make them remain as a very faithful people? That is another word we use it as a loyal customers, right? Loyalty, how that we can be creating about. So that is also very important. So for that aspect, the customer relationship is said to be a very insights of that, so that we have to know about. So therefore, through these strategies, how value can be created for the customers, and from that value, how the organization can be benefiting. So that also is up to us to look into by this particular area or this particular chapter. And along with that, we will be looking into what are the trends as well as forces, right, which has brought to a different perspective of the marketing. And so the marketing landscape has to be also looked into. So these are some of the objectives which that we are going to touch over in this particular area. So this is about the learning objective. So I suppose that you would have come to an understanding uh, what are the main aspects that we are going to cover under this section. That is the first section over the introduction. Right. So, if you want to understand about the marketing, right, first it is very main for us to know about what sort of objectives the particular organizations are having, right? If you take an organization, whether it is about a private organization or a public organization, or maybe it is about charity organizations, or what type of organization, even if you like take out, their main purpose is to satisfy the needs and the wants, right? So this marketing or maybe the organization is coming out from the society. It is within the society. Okay. So in the society, there are number of needs and wants that has to be fulfilled. So for the fulfillment of the requirements, only the organizations have been formulated. So there cannot be anything other than that of fulfilling the requirements of the particular society. So needs and wants have to be really fulfilled from the society. That is, of course, the main objective of any organization, right? So there is no second word of it, right? So then that is for organization's existence. And further to that, if you just try to, what do you call, investigate over, uh, you will come to know about if an organization exists, of course, there is production, right? So maybe it is a process that is being started, or even the production it is being started. In case if it is a service, then of course you have to start the process. In case if it is a product, then you have to start about the production. So any business organization will have the function of production or maybe process, right? So if an organization or if a firm is unable to market its goods and services in the marketplace, it is said to be no meaning of these organizations existing. So this organization exists in order to provide the products or services. And if those products or services are unable to be marketed, unable to be sold, right? In a very simplified form, if we are talking, they are unable to be sold, right? So if it is unable to be sold, then the existence of the organization is pointless. So that also that we have come to understand. So from the above two aspects, what that we may finally conclude is that marketing is very essential, right? So for any of the business activities that the organization is proceeding with, it cannot have its fulfillment without marketing, right? So marketing plays about a major role. This, of course, that we have to understand. Of course, marketing is coming not nowadays, or it has not emerged now. It has been from the ancient uh, days, right? And also it is considered to be an art and science, right? And also it is everywhere now. Even if you are a what you call a social organization or a charitable organization, you have to market it. If you are not marketing yourself, or if the services or maybe whatever things that you are doing into the society, if it is not marketed, no one will come to know about it. So how it can reach out about the needy is not possible, right? So therefore marketing is very, very important. Right? And this marketing, of course, that we can deal it as formally and informally, right? It is not straight away involved with formal activities. There may be informal activities also. Now, out of the process also, many things can happen, which is very relevant with the marketing. And also, it is engaged with many activities, right? So, as I already told you, we have to be very careful about our markets. We have to be very careful about our competitors. We have to know the environment as marketing environment, internal, external. We have to know the internal consumers. We have to know about the external customers, right? We have to know about the marketing mix. And if you take even the marketing mix, within that, many things we have to come to know about, right? So, marketing is not with very simplified activities. It is, of course, engaged with vast number of activities, right? So, if uh, therefore nowadays, for a business to be very successful or for the business to survive, right? This marketing is said to be uh, very vital and that is inevitable, right? So, marketing is such a way playing about a very important role in the success of any organization. So, if organizations are not engaged with the marketing activities, then of course we can easily conclude that the success of the organization is not there or the very minimal success that they can attain with, right? So, the marketing is of course embedded in everything, right? So wherever, right, that you turn away, right, you may be in a workplace, even that you may be in a home place, or maybe you may be in a society or in a social activity. So wherever that you turn yourself, there is, of course, these marketing activities. Without marketing activities, there is no any process people can move on, right? Now, say for an instance, even though that we don't much talk about, or we may say that we don't have a connectivity with marketing, but actually we do many things as marketing, right? So we look into alternatives, we have about the choice, we select about the best one, right? So all of the wanted requirements of the marketing that we are doing, right? Even in the normal process itself, it is happening about. So marketing is that much extended itself, right? So of looking into the requirement or the importance of marketing. Now, we will just try to move into our area. Okay. So earlier that we try to understand what is the importance of marketing. So once that we come to know about the importance of it, now we have to proceed towards. Uh, right. So as we understood about the importance, now we try to have about definitions or have about a description of what is meant by this activity, right? So, what is marketing? So, marketing, of course, again, there had been many writers giving about the description, but simply with what we can say about marketing is it is a process. So I have already explained you what is meant by processes, where the companies are trying to create value, right? So by these marketing processes, as we know that consumers are judging about the products and services based on the value it is creating, right? So therefore, if consumers are judging the value that is being created by the companies, that is the yardstick that they have to select about the marketers. So what marketers have to do is, once that they come to know about the value that they are looking into, these people must try to provide about the value. So the companies, by marketing, of course, tries to create about the value for the customers, right? So once that the value is being created only, you may be able to get closer to the consumers. So we are trying to build about a strong relationship, and by that you may be able to capture about the value, right? So whatever that they are looking for in the product or services, you are trying to provide. By providing that, there is a relationship that you may be able to create, right? So if the relationship is created, then you may be able to capture about the value, right? So if value, if you are able to create about the value, for that value, of course, the consumers are going to have some acknowledgement. So acknowledgement in the sense what that the organization is wanted. Organization wants profit, consumers want satisfaction, right? So once that you make them to get satisfied into, then what the organization wanted by giving about the satisfaction, that they are able to get it. So that is what, to capture about the value, and by that the organization can have their objective attained with. Right? So marketing, in a simplified way, is said to be the process of creating the value, and by that trying to have established a relationship among the consumers, and that will be helping the organizations to have about their objectives attained with. So objective is really the profit. Right. So since that we have gotten what is called an overall picture of what is marketing meant into, there may be a way to look into, right? There can be traditional view, because marketing, as I said, it has not now originated. It has been from ancient times, right? So far, like centuries before, the marketing aspects have been started. But of course, now there is a modernized look at it, right? So now, as people have turned into like modernized people, same as that, the marketing function also have been modernized. So there are traditional views as well as modernized view for the marketing that we are able to see into. So that we have to have an understanding what has been the traditional view, and what is nowadays the marketing looks like, right? So as a traditional view, you say the performance of the business activities that is directed the flow of goods and services from producers to consumers or the users, right? Earlier days, the requirement of the marketers or the requirements of the suppliers had been to produce and then, of course, give that products and services to the consumer's hand, right? So it is about the movement of the products from the production area to the market area, right? So just the flow of the products from the organization towards the markets or maybe towards the hands of the users. So that has been the traditional view. But the modernized view, of course, is different from the traditional view, where the business process in which the products are really matched with the markets, and if it is matched only, then there will be a transfer of ownership, right? So earlier, the organizations, marketing aspects or marketing functions had been to make the products and services move from the production area towards the marketplaces, right? But now, of course, it is not that easier to move the products, because all of the products that are being brought into the market is not being consumed by the people. The reason is that for the people there are many options available nowadays. Now it is not the local producers, not the local markets, even there is international people in the local market right now. Say for an instance, if you are going to purchase of a product, say a paper, right? So local producers are there. At the same time, there is foreign producers also. Foreign marketers are there. In other words, we can say that foreign producers are also there, or foreign marketers are also there. Local marketers are also there. So options is available. More options are there in the marketplace. So it is not easier as that you think to move the product or services from your end to the other end. Your end is as a marketer, and the other end is, of course, as a user or as a consumer. Right? It is not that easier for us to move the product. So here what happens is, in the marketing, the main concentration is matching about the requirement of the products, or the requirement of the features with the requirements of the particular people. So, in another way, we can say you are matching about the product features or the services features with the requirement of the consumers, right? So if there is a perfect match, or if there is a match take place only, there will be a transfer of ownership. So then only the product can be moved, right? So you have to understand this very carefully. Traditional view, of course, there had been a push, right, to the marketplace. So when you push the product, it went on. But in the modern view, it cannot be pushed as such. So there had been an in outside view and out inside view, right? So in outside view has been the traditional view, where that the products, once it is been produced, it can be sold in the market. So if there is a selling process taking place, the products can be sold. But nowadays, it is not that. First, we have to look into the market. What is the requirement? What is the market requirement? So, based on the market requirement, only our production has to take place. That does not mean looking into the market and we do about the production, but of course, many of the requirements that is wanted in the marketplace have to exist in the particular service or products that we are giving in the market, right? So there have to be a match. If the match happens only at that juncture, there will be the transfer of products or services. So it's a huge difference from the traditional view compared to the modern view, right? So traditional and modern view that we have seen. Now, based on this, if we have about some definitions. Mainly, we look into the definition of this association that is called as American Marketing Association. By them, what is the description or what is that they have defined about the marketing is given here. They say that it is an organizational function. So marketing, of course, it is coming with the organization functions that you and we know about. No, so there are a number of functions. There are production function, finance. There is marketing and research, or markets and as well as research activity that has to take place. And there is HR activities, right? So likewise, there are many functions within the organization. So one of the function is called as marketing. So this is an organizational function and a set of process, right? So within the function that you can find, there are number of process for which there is a creation, communication, and delivery value to the customer, right? So you try to create, and not only creating will help you to move the product, that you have to communicate with the consumers, and based on the communication you may try to deliver about the products to the consumers, right? So and also managing the customer relationship. Now why I was earlier also emphasizing with the customer relationship is not that we are focusing only with one time purchaser, right? So if it is a one time purchaser, of course, for that period we can earn about the profit, but that is not our objective. We have to have the profits in a continuous basis. So there have to be a sustainability, right? So once that we earn about the profit, we must be able to maintain the profit for the coming years also, right? Or for the coming duration also. Right? So therefore, now how that we may be able to maintain it is to have the people to do the repurchase, or the repeated purchase have to take place. Now, when will the repeat purchase take place? Is when there is a relationship between the marketer as well as the user or the customer created. So the relationship is very essential. So normally, of course, in our day-to-day life, that we will be able to experience that. No, so say that if you are going to buy a product now, say 1 kilo of sugar that you are going to buy, right? So from whom that you will be buying? There are many people closer to your house. Also, there is shops even far away from your house also there are shops. Sometimes you prefer to buy from the marketer who is far away from your house, for the reason that that person has given more value, right, for the product that he has earlier sold to you. So what does that mean is that there is a relation. He has tried to attract you, or he has tried to convince you that the product that he has given is more worth than the existing people or than the existing marketer. So that is how the relationship is being created, right? So not only trying to create about the products and communicate and deliver that, but also there have to be a relationship created, right? So this relationship will be very much helpful for that organization as well as for the stakeholders. So we know as an organization there are stakeholders, right? So there may be investors, there may be creditors, there may be debtors, there may be customers, there may be bankers, many people that can come into the particular aspect as stakeholders. So all the stakeholders are very important for the organization. So this is, of course, a simplified definition that we can give for marketing. Right. So now we try to slowly move into the very deeper concept of this particular area. Now, once that we understood what is meant by marketing, now it is up to us to know that what is really being marketed at, what is being really marketed by marketers, right? So there are many things. We normally say goods and services are being marketed, not actually goods and service. Like events are also marketed, right? So what is really events, right? Some sort of like sports or some sort of an entertainment, right? So events can be marketed. Even, sorry, experience also can be marketed, right? So now say for an instance, like if you are a lawyer, right? Your experience by dealing with cases, right? Can be marketed. So therefore, now say if the person leave about the legal aspect of the lawyers, but like even tuition teachers, right? So they by showing about the performance in the particular examination, that is the student showing about the performance in the examination for which those teachers have been teach or taught that particular subject, right? So that also can be marketed. Persons can be marketed, right? So as lawyers, as I said, it may be teachers, right? So they also can be marketed. Places can be marketed. Some places that we wanted to really have a visit on. Now, say for instance, if it is Bedington, we really like about Pasikuda. So Pasikuda can be marketed. That's of course the places. Then the properties also can be marketed, right? So we have real estates, right? So where the properties can be marketed. Organizations, right? So some of the organization, not some, but mostly the people who have been involved with creating about the values to the consumers, those organizations can be marketed. Information, that is also nowadays said to be very vital one. So that also can be marketed, and well to that ideas can be marketed. So if you have innovative, creative aspects, right? So that also can be marketed. So marketed, if you talk about marketing, it does not confine only with goods and services, but mostly we speak on an open term as goods and services, and even services we are not that much touching, but there is of course different marketing done over that. We normally talk about these goods or the product market, right? But actually, as a people who are learning about the marketing management, that you have to know these are the very important things that can be marketed. So when you're talking about marketing, it is not that we only talk with particular reference as goods, but there are many things as services, events, experience, person. You just name it about, right? Okay. Now we have also come to know about what is really marketed with. Okay. Now, when we come into the understanding of marketing, what is really taking place there? One is it is an exchange. Exchange have to be there. So, what is exchange? That you have to give something that is valued to another, and you have to get from that particular person which is valued to yourself. So when there is about an exchange, I mean, when there is about value that is being possessed by different people and you are requiring of that, then it has to be exchanged with, right? So as exchange is taking place, marketers, of course, consumers get the product and the marketers get about the money or even transaction that they are getting about, right? So earlier days we may talk about the exchange based on barter system, but now of course that we know that we can convert that into value, or it can be in monetary terms that we can have about the exchange taking place. So exchange is very important. And of course, marketing is a customer oriented one, or it is of course a consumer oriented one, right? So where does marketing has to concentrate over? Now, if you take about the other functions of the organization, take production. So production is concerned with taking about the materials or raw materials, acquiring about the raw materials and going under the production process and having about the output. So that is the concentration of the production. If you take finance, how that you are going to get the finance that is wanted for the organization and how that you are going to use it, and from that how the profits can be generated. That is of course financial side. You take HR side, how that you are going to have the human resources wanted for the organization, what sort of selection process, training, and how that you are going to price the performance, right, and their development, those sort of things that we are concentrating with. But the beauty of the marketing is that we are really dealing with the outside person. So if that outside person is not there, then of course any of these functions will be pointless, or there is no any value that we can get from other functions. So here marketing is playing about the connectivity of the organization to the outside world. The aspect is, having about an insight, right? So it is consumer oriented or customer oriented. So we have to work accordance with the consumer's requirements, right? So if consumers doesn't want your product, of course, then you must try to change it or modify it or even try to introduce something new which is really required by them. Okay, so marketing is customer oriented. Marketing starts and ends with customers, right, or consumer. So where does it start? First, that you do about the survey. What is the requirement that is there in the marketplace, right? So when the product has to be developed, of course that we will be studying about the new product development process. Under that you may understand the particular aspects, but before that, if you wanted to develop about the product, you cannot ad hocly develop about the product. So what is the process really that would be involved is for us to first look into the market and study about the consumers. So what sort of consumers that are there? What is their requirements? So once that the requirements is being spotted out only, we will try to bring those ideas into the organization. So in the organization, the products or services are being produced, right? So once that is being produced, again it will be returning back to the consumers, right? So now you have to sell the product or services to the consumers. So where the idea has been originated, it originated with the consumers. Then the required process has been done by the organization, and afterwards it has to get back to the consumers themselves. So marketing really starts with the consumers and ends also with the consumer, right? And this modern marketing proceeds and succeeds production, right? So now, early, of course, in the traditional view, we saw that the production first take place, and then by the marketing process, it is being moved into the market, right? So production take place in the organization. By marketing, it is being moved into the marketplace, right? But of course, in the marketing, modern marketing preview, or in the marketing perspective, it of course proceeded with the production. Before that, we start about the production. That is what was emphasized in the earlier statement also, that before the production starts, that we have to go into the marketplace and check whether, right, what is wanted, right? So you have to have a surveillance in the marketplace, right? So from that only you will come to know what is really wanted, and then only the production will be starting, right? So that is the modern marketing view, right? And the marketing goal, of course, right, is oriented, and the goal being profit maximization. Now, uh, the the goal, of course, of the marketing function, or maybe the marketing management, is not other than the profit maximization. So, profit maximization is really there, right? So, you cannot say marketing is only concentrating with providing about the requirement of the consumers, right? It is not that. Profit maximization is there. We by marketing, the goal of any organization is the sustainable profits organizations can have. Profit maximization is there. We are not we are not we are really uh, giving the product to the consumers of the expectation that will have some return. It is not just given, right? So there is an expectation. So what is the expectation? That is, of course, the profit maximization, right? But the profit maximization has to take place through the satisfaction of the consumers, right? So the satisfaction part is being, consumer satisfaction part is being connected through the marketing function, right? Not merely you try to sell the product. You have to look into the consumer satisfaction, or their well-being has to be looked by, right? So when you are giving about the product or services, their well-being has to be looked by. So once if it is fulfilled, then of course you can have about a transaction, and by that transaction, organization can attain about the profits, right? Marketing, of course, is science as well as art, right? So there are techniques that has to be used about, designing that has to be used about, right? There have to be more, right, what you call different aspects that may come into the process of this marketing. So, some of the activities are related with science, some of the activities are really related with arts. Of course, it is a mixture of both. You cannot say that it is coming out of the science orientation, or even if it is coming out of arts orientation. It is, of course, a mixture of both, right? And also, marketing is guiding elements of the business, right? So, where it really tells what that we have to give into the market, what is the duration that we have to give those things into the market, right? How that we have to produce that, right? So, marketing, of course, will be a guiding a tool, or even guiding as well as a controlling tool into the business process. Okay, and even marketing can be considered to be a system where inputs, process, and outputs are there, right? So we have to get about the information, right, as inputs. It can be information related to product, information related to customers, information related to competitors. It may be related to the environment, right? So you name it about, and then by that you do about the process, and there is about the output. So, marketing also uh, is functioning as a system, right? And we have already said that marketing is a process where there is number of activities, and those activities are related with each other. That is the main thing again for us to look into. That is, of course, related with each other. So, this is, of course, that we have to know about, or studying the nature of the marketing. These are the main things that we can come out. Okay, now all of this being said earlier, now we can come into the scope. Now, what does the marketing really conceive about? Right? What is the scope that it is covering about? So, these are the things now we may like just give about some idea. It really is wanted to know about the consumer's requirements. So, consumers' requirements are put into the terms as needs and wants as well as demand. So, maybe you would have studied in your advanced level, right? We have to know about what are the needs of the consumers. Needs are different from wants. We know needs, of course, the basic requirement the consumers are having, but those basic requirements can be turned into wants, right? So, very also I told about an example. Now, say for instance, if you have a need for a communication, the communication need can be fulfilled by number of mechanisms, right? So over the phone that you can do a communication, in person that you can do a communication, in the written form that you can do about the communication, right? So need is communication, but wants can be different. So wants can be written communication, it can be mobile phone communication, or even physical communication, right? So that is very important. So we are just motivating. Sometimes people may be, some sort of critics have been said that needs have been created by marketers. Of course not, right? So needs are there, but wants can be created by the marketers. So this is where the marketers are trying to penetrate into the minds, right? So what sort of wants that they have to have, and how it can be fulfilled with, right? And of course, it is the study of consumer behavior, right? Now, who are the main people? uh, we as a marketer, we know about the functions that we are going to perform, but the other end, the most important, what do you call, the very prominent people are the consumers, right? Now, how do consumers behave? So what is the behavior? Now, why these people have come into the market and bought this particular product? Why these people have chosen the particular competitor? Why these people have bought this in the particular duration, right? Whether these people are the purchaser, or whether that they are the decision maker. Many things that we have to know about of their behavior. It's very, very important. I earlier also at the introduction I was telling about, even if it is the employees of the organization, that is the subject you are studying as organizational behavior. You have to know about the individuals, right? So if you know about the individuals only, then you can devise the strategies which are suitable for you to apply over. So similarly, we have to know about the consumers. Without the consumers, we don't have business. So their behavior have to be really studied, right? So it is very important when the behavior of the consumers are being known only, we can apply many tactics, many strategies of the marketing can be applied over. Okay. And even under the scope or what is marketing consists about, it is about the product planning and the development, right? Now, once that you study about the behavior of the consumers, you will come to know ultimately, right, what is the product that they are wanted with, right? So it can be through the market segmentation or even through the market research, right? You come to know what is really their requirement with. So based on that only, we have to develop about the products, right? So product development may towards identifying the quantities, or it can be related with the quality of the products, right? And now, while that we consider about the product, nowadays these two aspects are very important. One to be the branding, other one to be the packaging, right? So branding in the sense you make the consumers to identify your organization or your product spontaneously, right? So once that they look into the logo or name or some terms or some symbols, consumers are being identifying the particular marketer. The identification is made about easier, sometimes by branding only or by brands only. There is about promotional activities take place, right? So this branding, of course, is very, very important. And by this branding, you are catering about the consumers in the identification of the particular marketer, right? So very easily, those people can be identified. Packaging, of course, another marketing tool nowadays that they are using. So making the package very attractive, giving about information, the usage, right? And also the convenience of handling about the product itself. And even the packaging is used as a protective mechanism. Protective mechanism. There is inside protector, outside protector, right? Some of the products, of course, inside also it is been wrapped nicely, right? And outside also as a what do you call a more protective containers have been used as a outside packer, and even in this outside packer there are many informations given into the consumers. Okay. Then the other thing you can see is about the channel of distribution, right? So how the product have to reach out the consumers place, right? So we know the consumers are staying away from the particular marketers, right? So there is maybe a big distance which may be between the consumers as well as the producers. So therefore, how the product is been reaching about the consumers. So the distribution of the products and services is said to be another vital aspect. And in some instances, of course, the marketers cannot consider about the distribution, right? So their main activity would be the production side, but there are other organizations who looks into the distribution. So like wholesalers, retailers, right? Or franchises, right? So they they look into how the product is been reaching about the consumers. So the place convenience is given by these distribution or by the channels of distribution. The place convenience, the place where that the product is available have to be very convenient to the consumer. So what is the mechanisms that can be used in order to make the product available? So not only making about the product available, but at the appropriate time also it has to be available. So our need for the moment would be purchase of the particular product, but if the particular product is not available and available at the next day, it doesn't uh, uh, fulfill the requirement. So not only the place is important, but also the duration in which it is available is also another concern. Then the price policies are there, right? So we have to really, because if you take about the marketing mix, we know product is there as an element, price is there as an element, place is there as an element, as well as the promotion. Out of these elements together, we call it as a marketing mix. And within the available elements in this marketing mix, it is said that through the price only, you are able to get profits. Other than the price P, the other P's are giving you expenses. Now, if you take product, you have to produce the product, you have to design the product, you have to process the product. Expenses is there. And if you are going to make it available in the place convenient, then of course you have to look into the storage, you have to look into the transportation, you have to look into the communication. So they are also at the place there is expense. If you're going to promote your product for advertisement, you have to spend for the sales promotion, you have to spend for public relations, you have to spend expenses. But by this price, only we are able to gain uh, some benefits for the organization. So pricing policies are very, very important. How that we are going to price? Whether we are going to have the margin less and have the quantity more so that the profits are very much higher, or you are going to have the margin as more and the required quantity as less and have about the profits. Right? So we have to decide on what the price that we are going to charge about, right? And even the prices that you are charging may based on the product's nature also, right? So whether where the product is, whether the product is at the introduction stage, growth stage, maturity, declining, right? You name it about. So pricing policies are very important. And along with that, we can see about the sales management, right? So it is involved with finding about uh, the people who may be promoting your product to the consumers, right? So here we have to identify the consumers, right, and what sort of requirements that we are going to fulfill about, right, and also having about the inducement for them to purchase about the product. So this is really done through sales management. Promotion, how that you are going to educate, how you are going to induce, and how you are going to make them to be repeat purchaser, right? So that is through the promotion you try to concentrate with, right? And also about the finance. So marketing finance is even coming under the marketing aspect because we know that the price is the very so by the finance how much of profits an organization can earn to be decided is based on how the pricing policies of the organization. So therefore, that we can even uh, bring about the finance under the scope of marketing. And after sales services, of course, now this is even more vital in the relationship management, right? So not only that you sell the product to the people or being successful of selling the product to the people, but how that thereafter the product proceeds, right? So have to be looked by. So whether that they are feeling any problem of handling with the product that they have bought, or any problematic issues that is arising over, and maybe how to handle about the products, right? So many aspects have to be really dealt with. So in that juncture, these after sales services are very, very important, right? So with these objectives, so first objectives have been to define about the marketing, and also to study about the process of the marketing. Now, at the second objective, we really brought about this fact to know about the marketplace, and also to identify the core of the marketplace concept, right? So there are 5 core marketplace concepts that we have to really know about. Okay. Now, uh, the understanding of the marketplace, of course, that we said, uh, we have to have a distinguishment between the needs, wants, as well as demand. This is another area that you have already had a knowledge. So needs, of course, can be given by the fact that is, of course, the deprivation, right? So felt deprivation that we are having. We are lack of something, or we are not having about the fulfillment, right? So that is, of course, the need. Now, say for an instance, when you are hungry or when you are thirsty, you want something. So there is about a deprivation. So the status is that you are not having what that you wanted with, right? So that is, of course, the area that you define by needs, right? But of course, wants are, it is, of course, a form of human needs, right? So that can be shaped by many aspects. Wants are also really needs, but depending on the people, depending on the situation, or depending on many aspects, many external factors can be influencing on that, the wants can be arising over, right? Now, say if you are a local producer and a foreign producer, because that you being about a foreign producer, the culture of that country would have influenced you to have the product in a different way, right? So there is, of course, alternative, what do you call, alternative way of uh, fulfilling our requirements. So the alternatives are given as wants. The alternative that we are searching about is coming out of the wants, right? So this, of course, I have already explained about. If you have the communication need, then of course the wants can be different, right? So wants can be written, or it can be verbal communication, or it can be mobile communication, whatever, right? So that is one. But if so, then whether all the wants can be what do you call elements for the success of any organization. If there is wants, whether it is okay, whether that we can have profits, or we can have a survival in the marketplace. So that may be a question. So in order to answer that, the wants, all the wants are being not materialized. All the wants are not been turning into a requirement in the marketplace. right? So these wants have to be backed by a purchasing power, right? If the wants are being backed by a purchasing power, then it is it will be turning into demands, right? So demand is what that all the marketing organization will be wanting about. Demand is really wanted. If demand is there only, so if there is a purchasing power, what we said as marketing, it is an exchange, right? So for the exchange to happen, the particular organization having about the product is not enough. The person who is purchasing it, that is the user or the consumer, have to give a financial benefit to the organization. So if it is not backed by a purchasing power, then there may not be an exchange taking place. So for the marketing to happen, exchange has to be there. Exchange to take place, both of the sides have to have some valued aspects, right? So here as a marketer, we have the products and services. There as a consumer, that you have to have the financial value, right? So we have to really, as a marketer, has to distinguish between the needs, wants, as well as the demand. So this is also very important one. And if you take about the marketing offers or offerings, then of course we know that we have already studied in the market what can be marketed, right? So the products, services, information, events, it can be people, properties, experience, number of things, right? So market does not mean, or marketing does not mean only giving about the products, right? Only marketing about the products. So it can get about different forms. So that is also a very important aspect for us to look into. Then about this marketing myopia, right? So marketing myopia is another what you call uh, a dilemma that can happen in the marketplace or even in a marketing activities. It can happen. Marketing myopia. Right, I think you would have heard about, or maybe when you're studying advanced level, also some of your teachers would have told, like a particular company sent to what do you call salespeople into or salespeople to a particular area, right? So that what do you call that particular company is been producing about slippers. Okay, so the two people have gone into the area to look into the possibilities or the potentiality of selling about the product in the place. So these people observed that, or these two people observed that the people who lived there were not wearing slippers. Okay, so they didn't wear slippers. So one salesperson reported to the boss or to the superior saying that we don't have market in that place. Why? Because people are not wearing slippers. So that has been one person's observation. The other person said we have a high potentiality there. Why? People are not wearing slippers. But if we motivate them to wear slippers, then of course we have higher demand. So this is what we call it as marketing myopia. So marketing myopia regarding of the first person had been there. So he came and told about there is no market since people are not wearing about the slippers. Right? So there had been a hidden fact. But the second person, right, really saw about the potentiality of selling about the slippers, since there had not been people wearing it and there had not been other marketers also in that place. So high potentiality is there, which had been reported by the second person. So this is what we call it as marketing myopia. So some of the things that we have to really deeply go into, whether there will be a market or not having a market, is seen by how that you are looking into that or looking into the particular place, how that you are interpreting the particular situation, right? So since that there had been market, one person's report of not being a market is called as a marketing myopia, right? And we also said that there have to be exchange, right? So of course, both of the parties have to have or have a situation to offer what is desired by the other party, right? So in this case, we said marketers will have about the product or whatever that is being marketed, and the users or the consumers have the monetary value. In the look of uh, in the look of the products or maybe the services or whatever that is being marketed, right? And also that they have an interaction with the organization in order to get the information. It is not that they spontaneously buy it or they immediately buy the product. Sometimes they try to collect about the information and then uh, they decide on whether to purchase the product or not. Right. So deciding is happening about once that they have about information. Right. Nowadays, of course, getting about the information is very easy. Those days only people are being isolated. They are not being connected with each other. But nowadays, of course, people are being connected with, though they are isolated, they are being connected by the IT or the information technology they are being connected with. So information they are being able to get. And by this information only, the interactions take place, right? And in the market, the purchases are being taken place. So if you just want to define about the market, so the market will have about the people who are already bought the product or have the potentiality of purchasing about the product. And also in this market, people will be in search of products, and they also will be having about the information requirement, and the information has to be like provided with, and uh, even thereafter the purchase can take place. So we have to be ready to transfer the ownership from the producer or from the marketer to the purchaser or to the consumer. Okay, so now you can see regarding of the particular interaction, there are suppliers, right? So suppliers, of course, maybe who are giving about the raw materials to the organization, right? So raw materials can be given to the particular company as well as for the competitors also. They can be the suppliers, right? So the competitors are not only even competing for the final consumers, they may be competing even for the suppliers also in this side, right? So from the company, it can be direct to the final consumers. Competitors also may have a direct contact with the consumers. But at the same time, these two companies also have a competition of taking about places in the marketing intermediaries, right? So once that they decided on having distributors for their product, these distributors are also a competing fact for the marketers, right? Means for the company as well as for the competitors. Competitors also will be distributing through the marketing intermediaries. So the particular company as well as the competitors. So we have to win the places in the distributors in order to market our product. Now, sometimes when you go to a marketplace, right, some distributors, you will see particular brand of product occupies the spaces, many space, or the larger portion of the particular shelf will be occupied by certain brands. And some brands, of course, a smaller place will be given, right? So this is the way of attracting about the marketing intermediaries by particular company as well as the competitors. Okay, so this is what that we have learned uh, by the second objective. Now we have to move into the third one. Of course, I will just wind up my lectures and continue this
Thank
one.
you, ma'am.
Who said thank you? Okay, then. So see you in my next lecture. Maybe that is on Tuesday, no? So Tuesday we will meet again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.